I want to move on now and talk about Dr. Martin Luther King. As I said earlier, and as I'm sure you are aware, Monday was, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Many people pointed out on Monday in post or on Twitter, they pointed out that the truth is, for most of our country, we only really remember Martin Luther King mostly for his I Have a Dream speech. And even the I Have a Dream speech is frankly, when we look at it nationally, is fairly sanitized. We, as a country, we really do forget how many people literally died during the civil rights era and during the civil rights fight. And I'm not even talking about Dr. King, who was, of course, assassinated, but all the people who were lynched and shot and killed and beaten and had hoses and dogs sicked upon them. We forget also that the civil rights era is, in fact, not ancient history. You know what I mean? This was not like, centuries ago. This was the 1960s. The friggin' 1960s. This is not that long ago. We also forget, or I think more correctly, we also deliberately ignore Dr. King's stance on war. Frankly, actually, my favorite speech of Martin Luther King's is his anti-war speech on the Vietnam War, which if you've never heard his Vietnam speech, you should definitely find it. You can find it on YouTube. It is phenomenal. I mean, it's the speech where he called the United States, quote, the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. It is heartbreaking in its elegance and its indignation. It is an amazing speech. We also ignore the fact that Martin Luther King was a huge critic of capitalism, and he was, in fact, a radical advocate for the poor. We also forget that he was, in fact, spied upon by the FBI. We forget that he was threatened and harassed by the FBI. Kevin Gostola over at Fire Dog Lake posted the anonymous letter that the FBI sent him, threatening him. With the letter, they sent him tapes, audio recordings that the FBI had secretly recorded of King having an affair. Martin Luther King cheated on his wife. That's history. That happened. Now, but personally, though, I'd actually never read the letter, the anonymous letter that the FBI sent, and it's really chilling and horrible. And again, I'm going to read it to you now. I'm going to read the full letter right now. And I want you to remember, this is an anonymous letter that the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, sent Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The letter begins, quote, King, in view of your low grade, I will not dignify your name with either a Mr. or a Reverend or a Doctor. And your last name calls to mind only the type of king, such as King Henry VIII. King, look into your heart. You know you are a complete fraud and a great liability to all of us Negroes. White people in this country have enough frauds of their own, but I am sure they don't have one at this time anywhere near your equal. You are no clergyman, and you know it. I repeat, you are a colossal fraud, and an evil, vicious one at that. You could not believe in God. Clearly, you don't believe in any personal moral principles. King, like all frauds, your end is approaching. You could have been our greatest leader. You, even at an early age, have turned out to be not a leader, but a dissolute, abnormal, moral imbecile. We will now have to depend on our older leaders like Wilkins, a man of character, and thank God we have others like him. But you are done. Your honorary degrees, your Nobel Prize, what a grim farce, and other awards will not save you. King, I repeat, you are done. No person can overcome facts, not even a fraud like yourself. I repeat, no person can argue successfully against facts. Satan could not do more. What incredible evilness. King, you are done. The American public, the church organizations that have been helping, Protestant, Catholic, and Jews, will know you for what you are, an evil, abnormal beast. So will others who have backed you. You are done. King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You have just 34 days in which to do it. This exact number has been selected for a specific reason. It has definite practical significance. You are done. There is but one way out for you. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation. End quote. Folks, this is how we need to remember Dr. Martin Luther King. As a man who was such an immense threat to the elite and to the status quo that not only did the bloody FBI spy on him, they threatened his life. They sent him a letter telling him that he should kill himself or they'll expose his extramarital affairs. That is the FBI of our government. The FBI told Dr. Martin Luther King that he should kill himself. And they told him that in 1964. Not 1864 or 1764. 1964. That's when that happened. You know, so along with the soaring beauty of I Have a Dream, we need to remember that just a very short time ago, what some people in our very government, in our very country were doing to try to literally kill that dream. Not to remember all the horrible, vicious ghouls who tried to murder that dream and murdered that man, not to remember that as part of this story. Not to remember everything that he fought for, be it the imperial, being against the empire and against war, fighting for poor people and equality. Not to remember all of that is in fact a flat out disservice to his memory and to the memory of everyone else who fought, bled, and died in the fight for equality. We'll be right back.